This is Josh Friedman again in no man's land between Serbia and Hungary. This time I am outside the Serbian town of Kelebija at the second border camp and transit zone and effectively detention center that is set up along the Serbian-Hungarian border. Over there you can take a look at the Hungarian border crossing, the crossing into the EU and the Schengen zone. And over here is the Serbian crossing. Just like the Horgos camp, this one is set up next to a proper border crossing, although they are different border crossings. And the primary difference between this camp, which really mirrors the one at Horgos, is that this camp is comprised of people from the Arab-speaking world. There are people here from many countries. They include Syria, Iraq, Libya. There are a couple people here from Gaza, and over at the Horgos camp, people are primarily from Afghanistan, but there are also people from Pakistan and Iran. The system here is identical. There is a crossing here. Preferential treatment is given to families. Families cross, and also some single men cross at this little crossing checkpoint here, and then the families carry on to Budapest and beyond, whereas the single men then spend 28 days inside this makeshift detention zone or transit zone, depending on what you want to call it. And I'll elaborate a little bit on what I was discussing over outside of Horgos. So the people, the single men, that is, it's only single men who enter this transit zone or detention center, and they are supposed to spend 28 days in there. Some people are released quicker and they're sent back to Serbia, the ones who are not granted asylum. And from what I understand, the majority of the people do spend their 28 days in there and then continue on to Budapest and elsewhere in the European Union. But some people are denied. Some people actually do spend 28 days there and then are sent back into Serbia and not allowed to return to Hungary. So Hungary is deporting some of the people who spend 28 days or less inside this detention center, but most people, from what I understand, the single men who cross in spend the 28 days inside what looks like a compilation of shipping containers, and it doesn't seem like they can step outside of their fenced off and barbed wired off area. Inside there they spend the 28 days and then they're free to continue on their journey to Western Europe or Northern Europe or wherever they're headed. This camp is a little messier, maybe I'd say, than the one outside Horgos, and it's on a very thin strip of land. There's not a lot of area to walk around, although people do walk into Kelebija, the town that is just behind these trees, and there's a little station where they can charge their phones. I can give you a glimpse at that, but it's a little less spacious, and the conditions seem maybe a little worse than the camp over at Horgos. Not that the conditions in Horgos are very pleasant. That's going to be a wrap from the Serbian-Hungarian border and from outside the now infamous fence. I'll give you one more look at the fence and the makeshift detention center. Alright, goodbye from outside Kelebija. Serbia and the Serbian-Hungarian border. Ciao.